Hello, this is Joe Maher of Hamilton Wenham Regional High School, and I'm here to explain some of the tools that we learned at the Advanced iPad Conference in Cambridge in the summer of 2014. Now, the first tool I'd like to explain is Explain Everything, which happens to be the app that I'm using right now for this video. Now, one thing that is imperative that we explain is, how are these apps useful in our classroom? Now, for me, there are many reasons. One of the things that I do in my classroom that is becoming popular with many teachers is I run a flipped classroom. Now, Explain Everything gives me the tools for me to make videos for my class that they can watch at home instead of taking notes in the classroom. So in my flipped classroom, the students do what we typically do in class, which is take notes, write them down, and they do it at home. So they watch my lectures at home and watch and explain my math problems that I'm teaching them, and then the next day in the classroom, they come in and solve new problems. But Explain Everything can be used much more than just the flipped classroom. I see my students making their own videos, creating their own problems with unique information and content that allows them to be the teacher. Furthermore, I think Explain Everything allows students to see how I solve problems, and not only how I solve problems, but how they solve problems. They can share their techniques and solving problem techniques with other students in the classroom through our class website or through YouTube. And lastly, I think Explain Everything would be a great opportunity for students to do their own math projects. They can create content, create problems, show different scenarios that occur in the real world through Explain Everything. Another app that I am hopeful to use this year in my classroom is Socrative. In our district, we are being pushed hard to use district-determined measures so we can see students' progress not only throughout the year, but throughout their high school career. Socrative provides an excellent pre-assessment tool that is a great way to measure student progress as we adopt these district-determined measures. Furthermore, I find Socrative a great way to introduce a new topic. There's nothing better than putting a question on the board and instantly being able to see students' thoughts on how to solve the problem. Maybe they're the wrong answers, but at least it brings up a great conversation on the new topic at hand. Lastly, I'm hopeful that Socrative is going to give me a quick and easy way to assess what my students truly understand in their learning. So when I'm teaching in class today and I can give them a question at the end of the day, I can figure out, what did they actually learn today? What percentage of the classroom really understands what I taught? And furthermore, with my flipped classroom model, it gives me a quick assessment tool to figure out what they took in from that video, or who didn't watch the video. So I'm finding Socrative to be a quick, easy way to gather information about my students and classroom. In closing, Socrative is an excellent data collection tool, something that I can store data for all my students. It shows me real-time progress and understanding of what my students have learned in the classroom and through student-explained or teacher-explained videos. It also allows me quick check-ins on all students and exit tickets to find out what they really know. So no longer do I have to ask if anyone has any questions. The proof is in the answers they provide for me on a daily basis. This next app is one that I'm truly excited about as a teacher. As a math teacher, I'm always looking for ways that I can hook my students into what I'm teaching them in math class. I think this next app may have the answer. ThingLink is a new way of making math problems for my students. It allows me to put a picture, problem, or text up on their iPads, but not only does it just give them the problem, it's not just the problem or the picture that makes this the hook, because clearly that wouldn't be the hook. But what it does provide is multiple links that I can link to videos, I can link to equations, I can have other ways to make math more exciting and relevant to them. So it can provide them with the information that they need to solve the problem, or guide them through videos that they may need to solve the problem. but ultimately it is a great tool, and I think it's a great way to hook the students. With all my work and all students' work now going electronic in many ways, it is important that we have good tools to organize our work and our students' electronic work. Google Drive and Notability are two tools that I learned more about at the iPad conference that I find essential for organizing students' electronic work. At our school this year, we are starting a new one-to-one initiative at our school with iPads. So one of the big things is, how are we going to use the iPads to help our students become more organized? Especially for students who are on IEPs and have trouble keeping a notebook. What can we do to help them stay organized on a day-to-day basis? Notability and Evernote, another note-taking app, should be the answer. In my time in the classroom and my time at the conference, I'm finding that Notability suits me better. Now, I will be open to students using both Evernote and Notability, but I find that Notability provides all the tools I need to provide great note-taking, and as a math teacher, it allows students to make their work legible, and they can start with it big and shrink it down into a size that would fit to a normal size paper. So I found that this app is the most useful to my students. With all this electronic information being created and made in the classroom and outside the classroom, it is essential that we also have a place and a platform for students to organize all this information. Now I'm slowly learning more about Google Drive. I don't have it mastered yet, but the conference gave me a better hand on how students are going to organize their information and how I, as a teacher, am going to organize the information that they share with me. I find this task still a little bit perplexing and a little bit overwhelming, but I'm hoping throughout the school year, working with my colleagues and working with the students, that I'm going to have a better handle on how Google Drive works and operates, so I can become a more organized teacher and help my students become more organized in how they share and collect their electronic work. So ultimately, at the end of their 4 years of high school, they have a wonderful collection of their work to serve as a portfolio for their graduation requirement. As a teacher, it's going to be very important that I model app fluency, because it is going to be essential for my students to understand how to go from one app to the other and how that they're all interconnected. So if we're going to be using a graphing calculator such as Desmos, I want them to be able to use that app, take a picture, and maybe put it into their notes in Notability, and ultimately save those notes in Google Drive. So in order for us to survive this initiative, it's going to be critical that students and teachers have strong app fluency. Which brings me to the ultimate goal for myself and my students, and that is the ability for them to app smash. Now, app smash is the ability to use multiple apps in creating a final project, such as what I've done here today. So I've used not only Explain Everything, but I've had to use the photo. I'm going to be using YouTube. I'm going to be using maybe even iMovie to make the movie of this ultimately. But how students can use multiple apps to create a final product and put it together. Now, one of the dangers of this, of course, as a math teacher, is that I'm focusing too much on teaching the technology and not enough on teaching the mathematics. I think that is the main struggle that I'm going to have as a teacher this year as we head towards this one-on-one initiative. Some of these apps and some of the things that you can do is very exciting as we create new content, but ultimately I have to remember my goal is a math teacher, and as exciting as making videos and creating app smashes can be for my students and for myself, I have to remember that my content comes first. So although app smashing is a goal, it's a long-term goal. And it's one that I think that my colleagues and I have to work together with our students and each do our part so that students not only understand that the tools that they're using on the iPad are important, but we still make sure that we stay true to our mission as a school and as a district to make sure our students are getting the highest and best education possible. So once again, this is Joe Maher from Hamilton Wenham Regional High School. This video was made through Explain Everything, and really enjoyed the iPad conference and looking forward to more opportunities in the future to learn more and to help my students as we progress through this new one-on-one initiative at Hamilton Wenham. And have a great rest of your summer. Best of luck.